Хорошо. Не вопрос, как скажете. Импровизация. Главное, чтобы басни не читать.
Председатель комитета по культуре Болтин Федор Дмитриевич.
Добрый день, дорогие друзья. Я очень рад приветствовать всех на замечательной конференции, которая проходит у нас.
Welcome everybody here at the conference, and this is already the 16th St. Petersburg theater seasons, and the format we are having today, which unfortunately due to the COVID made us go to the home studios, but actually we prefer to keep to this format because it really broadens our conference, and we're very happy to know that all our friends abroad and our other theaters all over the country, they get connected to us, and all the speeches of our speakers, they stay in our archive. So I think it's really very interesting for those newcomers to our conference, for newcomers to the art, and who just try to find out what is it, what kind of life it is to be in the art. So, and those who are interested to know what is going on within the walls of the Alexandrinsky Theater, so are going to learn a lot. It's really hard to believe and understand that we've already counting so many years with the cultural life here with this conference. Of course, St. Petersburg is very rich with traditions, and we've got a lot going on in our municipal theaters and state theaters. And for us, this is really a task. We're facing quite a challenge because such a tight concentration of the theater drama events. We've got so many awards from the Golden Mask which were brought here, and it is very important direction for support. So we hope that the further development of the theater business is going to continue in St. Petersburg, but it is not possible without our theater academy on Mahavaya Street. That's why we're very happy to welcome here representatives of the State Institute of Performing Arts. What are the traditions of St. Petersburg? What are the traditions of Russian Theater School? These are going to be the subjects for discussion. We want to create new mechanisms, new schemes, new possible tricks for which would help to develop the art. So all this is reflected in real documents. We not just increase the financing and the budgets of the state theaters. Today, the state theater has guaranteed budget from the state. Today, every state theater has the new staged performances which are made with the budget provided from the state. Next year, we're going to celebrate Ostrovsky year, and we are preparing a very big program. And so all our theaters, they've developed a very rich program dedicated to Ostrovsky. Other theaters, they all understand that the theater today is not just the place of entertainment. This is a space of very inclusive space. Every theater wants to have their audience comfort, to be in comfort, to be welcomed, welcomed by friends. So we teach all our people of the theater to work with our audience. We provide our theaters with new equipment, and we managed to do this to do this because of the non-state theaters who provide for us all this environment. These theaters speak about necessity of development. Of course, this is not our prerogative, not our tasks. Our task is to consider and to create the conditions for all our artistic people, for the masters of the art life. We do not compete between St. Petersburg directors and the regional directors. This is always, we understand that this is very normal when people, different people with different backgrounds come here for troops, for traveling and for traveling shows, and Minister of Culture supports us, and we provide the program for theaters who come from other cities to here. When we face this situation, when there are enemies of Russian culture who try to deny Russian language and Russian culture, we know that this theme is not going to be achieved. We know that everywhere Tchaikovsky is going to be heard, and the sample, the model of Russian theater makes the basis for Russian culture wherever Russian university is located, University of Russian Art and Russian Theater is located, is going to be the radiating focus of Russian culture. So all this is going to enrich us, those people who provide conditions for the culture to be developed, and we welcome all the suggestions, because we base not only on the state task but also on the understanding that there are experts from this sphere who give us their instructions and comments. Our theme today is the St. Petersburg Theatre School of Drama, and all those who have ever had a chance to experience development of Russian drama understand that this is a perfect, interesting world. Wherever you come from, you understand that the theater of Russian drama and the history of Russian drama provides lots of interesting perspectives for experiments. So today we understand that the competition is really very high in educational establishments. This is not only the University of Performing Arts in Makhavaya Street, but also in other educational establishments where we provide courses of acting and directing. We see that the competition is really very high, and we see very many people coming from regions, from other regions of our country. We understand that St. Petersburg still breaks all the records. Our St. Petersburg school and those teachers or those masters who work with us today, they have a unique chance to share their talent not only with us but also with the students who are very soon are going to graduate the University of Performing Arts and will become real actors and artists. I wish all the participants of the conference to make interesting discoveries. Please be active, ask your questions. We have a very interesting group of speakers. I hope that everyone will find something interesting for yourself. So the head of Russian of Russian University of Performing Arts, Natalia Pakhomova. Well, thank you very much for your very welcoming and warm words, and you're absolutely true that our University of Performing Arts, according to tradition, we still call it the Academy, the Drama Academy, but it is absolutely right to say that our educational establishment is unique, and we are not only now, these days, live in St. Petersburg, but will also expand our influence. And we are not only the focus of attraction for students to come to St. Petersburg, but also for other regions of Russia. And it is all connected and related to the fact that for us, this is a big honor that we participate in the national project Culture on creating the cultural educational complexes and centers in Kemerovo, Kaliningrad, and Vladivostok. These are very important projects which were started by the president of Russia, and idea of this project is to have culture and education to be focused not only in the capitals, not only in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but to spread it down to the regions. So the task of the educational centers outward of the capitals to get it, to make it accessible to all of those people who live there. These centers will include Mariinsky Theater, the Bolshoi Theater, our leading museums like Tretyakov Gallery and the Hermitage Museum, and affiliated branches of our university. This work has been run very actively. We understand that we are needed. There is a high degree of requirement for our lectures, for our educational programs. Today we are going to celebrate, this year we're going to celebrate historical event with we enrolled the first wave of students in Kemerovo, because over there they managed to build the educational establishment sooner. So it depends on how the government really supports construction activities over there. So over there, due to the efforts of the governor, they built the whole complex within 2 years. As for the current work of the complexes, here we have the heads of our affiliated branches, and they will tell you in detail about their work that they have already started to provide. 85 students we have already for today who started to study in Novosibirsk University. And these complexes are very interesting because they are built counting on all the modern requirements as for the internal equipment and educational establishments, and these are also dwelling spaces for teachers, for professors, for workers of museums. So here in our, we're going to have over there the theater for students for 300 people. It's going to be highly equipped according to high technical standards, modern standards, where students are going to show their performances, and we're pretty sure that we will be able to invite all of you to this theater. So construction is really going on in the regions. So meanwhile, we start our educational programs on those platforms and those areas which were provided earlier. So we have connection with the regions. I'm really very proud to say that it is not by chance that we are here. Every time when we speak about theater seasons, conference about the connection with the regions. So our school counts 243 years, and we're very wise and smart, and we've collected experience. But we also know how to work with the regions, and our institute, starting from the 30s of the last century, started to carry out this work on preparing experts for national courses, for targeted courses in the regions. And within this period, we've managed to educate and to create more than 62 studios for our teachers. Is not a new thing that we are pioneers in many of the directors. Like, for example, we were the first who started to teach how to direct. It was Mayer Holt who was the first to open the course for directors. Then we have one of the first puppet show theater, also producing faculty. So we have already gained experience which counts many years of traditions and renovations and innovations. We respect highly the tradition of the School of St. Petersburg, and we keep adding to this school every year. We've got perfect teachers. We've got here today 3 of them. We've got Lev Dodin to teach, Valery Fokin, all major directors of St. Petersburg, Mr. Spivak. I'm not going to count everybody. Andrei Maguchi. Well, actually, every all big directors of St. Petersburg are related to our school. Like, for example, Mr. Chepurov. Alexander Chepurov works in Alexandrinsky Theater as the deputy of artistic director, and together with that he runs the whole block in our university. Plus Valery Fokin is the dean's chairman. So I'm not going to waste your time. Here you see our professors and very experienced theoretical and practical teacher, and Ivan Ivanovich Blagodyr. On the one hand side is our leading teacher. We have just returned from the company was traveling. It has just returned from the drama tour. Ivan Ivanovich runs the musical direction. This is what we are talking about. Any teacher of our university is related with the theater process. We are not only teaching theory, we also have people who are involved in practical life of theater. These are not only the teachers who we are proud of, but also our alumni are also brilliant artists. Everywhere in all the territory of our country, our alumni, graduates, they work everywhere, in the theaters, in the movie, in the sphere of art, in television, in everywhere. And so they very actively represent our school in Russia. So getting back to the national studios, with the lift of the Soviet power, this tradition didn't break. We are constantly providing and working with the special courses. Yana Markovna Tumina is running the course for Buryat puppet theater, which is a unique experience because we made the puppet show on the key basis. So they're going to teach actors, directors, arts experts, producers. So all those people who have to work in the theater, who have to run theaters. We need to expand this activity. We've got a lot of requests, and we provide feedback, we provide complex education. Our students graduate our colleges and institutes being absolutely graduated people. This is not for the first year when our students are not from St. Petersburg and their number is higher. Of course, COVID helped to some degree because we learned how to make entrance competitive exams on the distance in a remotely. So this connection with the regions shows that many of the students came from a far areas and then they go back to their regions, to their cities, and they create theaters over there. And and it's going to be more and more interesting due to these affiliated branches which we're going to open, because our methodology, our methods, we managed to spread to the regions. Our teachers, our alumni, they teach over there. We are proud of our school, St. Petersburg Drama School, because we believe this is one of the best drama schools in our country. As the 2 years ago, we opened the schools of creative industries. These are centers for children from 12 till 17, and we really support them free of charge. It is completely financed by the state budget. It is very well equipped. These schools are very well equipped. Also, students of this preliminary schools, they get understanding of the occupation and they try their hand in all possible occupations. Maybe they want to try their hand in direction, maybe they want to try their hand in artistic spheres. So they might be cameramans, they might be light directors, but still we understand there should be fundamental things from the world culture. This is just an expansion of education, general education of children. When we work with our audience and we advertise ourselves, we every time tell to our audience that we are going to open the affiliated branches, and we also share the knowledge about general knowledge about what theater is like. So I hope that this project is very important for our regions and both for us, for all those people who take part in this project. I am ready to answer all the questions if you have any. So, Doctor of Art Science, the honored worker of art and moderator of our conference, Alexander Chepurov. Dear friends, first I would like to say some official words which are usually go at the beginning. Well, I welcome all the theater lovers, for those who watch us from different parts of our country and also from different parts of the world. Today, on 2022, September 20th, we start the 16th festival, St. Petersburg Theatre Seasons Online, which is going to run with the support of the Culture Committee of St. Petersburg. This year, our meetings happen in Media Center of new stage of Alexandrinsky Theatre. It is not by chance, because here, on the basis of the theatre, we have a whole faculty of the scenic arts and scenic staging under the head of Valery Fokin. This is the master faculty, and here unlike in Kemerovo, here we, and also in Kaliningrad, Vladivostok, we've got the affiliated branches, but here in St. Petersburg, we, for 10 years, we have been working here on the new stage. We cooperate with the university, have very tight connections with the so here, on the basis of the new stage, we develop the faculty of the stage skills, where we run absolutely different programs. This festival has the online format, and this allows us to be connected with the world and keep our window to Europe open. Alexandrinsky Theatre used to be an open theatre window to Europe, so the fact that this year we start this festival here is really a good sign. So theatre seasons in St. Petersburg will be able to come to the regions too. So first we're going to start with the conference, which is called St. Petersburg Theatre School, and organizers are producing company Art Project and art company Neva. They thank their partners and information sponsors, the television channel St. Petersburg, radio channel Where to Go, and also the social channel In Contact, for promoting our broadcastings. Due to this promotion, many people will get to know about our festival and will get connected to us from all the remote parts of
Встречайте
our country.
приложение ВК-клипы. Удобный видеоредактор. Уникальные маски и эффекты. И стильные фильтры для обработки. Еще быстрее, проще, вертикальнее. Теперь в отдельном приложении ВК-клипы. Место встречи талантов. Встречайте приложение ВК-клипы. Удобный видеоредактор.
So here there is an instruction to put your camera on QR code and to get joined our company In Contact, for you could watch our performances online. Today we start watching the performances online. Now you can see the QR code. So these are the instructions, all the instructions that we've performed. And now let us start our conference. St. Petersburg drama school and drama culture of the regions of Russia, the mission of the affiliated branches of our university in the region. So this is the name of our conference, and it is not by chance. It is not just occasional. As it was said already, our institute for many years already keeps working with the regions. We used to have very many targeted courses targeted for different regions of Russia, based here on the constant stage, but also we had companies traveling for educational purposes. We had courses in Orlov, we had mixed courses when we had part-time education, and we used to work with the national studios, Khakassia and the Chechnya studio and Ingush studio and Burят studio and many other studios in different regions of Russia and national studios. And as for this year, we have another new event here at the Faculty of Scene Performances. Valery Fokin starts a new course of the artistic directors of the theaters. Artistic directors of theaters. So this is a special program for professional directors who already are in the position to run the theater, or maybe just look at the position of the artistic director. Well, actually, this occupation, artistic director for the theater, this is a very special occupation, especially when we talk about national theater. And that's why we start put it into practice, this program. And the group which we collected in summer is going to come in summer here on the new stage of Alexandrinsky Theatre, and Fokin will start working with them. And now I would like to appeal to start with presentation of those projects, problems and perspectives which are related with development of our affiliated branches. Of course, opening of affiliated branches is not easy, is not a trivial thing. Well, first of all, it requires finances, it requires construction, but also it is not easy and simple from the point of view of art, and we understand that this issue is not only related with enrolling of students. Of course, this is not something special to enroll the course, but in order to start educating program, we also need to have teachers who would be raised according to the unified methods, those teachers who have same orients or targets or focuses, like, for example, literature or art. We have teachers who have been working for us for many, many years, and these are experienced teachers. So to find, to raise, to breed teachers like that in the regions is one of the most serious targets which we see in our work in this direction. I know that many of our alumni and even teachers went to Kemerovo and worked together with our affiliated branches. For example, we are very successfully working in the sphere of master education with Kaliningrad. This is a master degree which we collected here, and it is meant for Kaliningrad. And this year we're going to have first alumni from there. This is very interesting because it proves that our St. Petersburg teachers, they fruitfully work. So this master degree program is going to have graduates who will show this November their scientific achievements related with the cultural work of Kaliningrad. We see different aspects. We have already spoken about those interesting combinations and connections of master classes which we had in the regions. Ivan Ivanovich Blagodyr was very active in Kaliningrad and Vladivostok and in Kemerovo. That's why all those issues we're going to talk about today. So Fyodor Dmitrievich, despite on providing us a very detailed speech, still wants to add. I would like to add a little bit. When we discuss things, we speak about St. Petersburg Drama School, and as any school happens to finish, people graduate, right? And this graduation of the school is closely related with the further work. We are going to have this conference today and tomorrow. I would like to ask you maybe to mark in a special way to note your suggestions on the following developments, not only the theatre and St. Petersburg theatre. I've already mentioned, we know that there are federal theatres, cities, citizens, but what are we going to do in 1 year, in 3 years? We understand very well that those actors, those students who are going to graduate this year, what are they going to do, all those alumni? It's not that every theatre is ready to accept them for work. So here, for us, those people who work in the culture department of the government of the city, it's very important to see that support of the newly built artistic laboratories that are being created presently by all those young people who graduate these days, this year. Because all these young students of yesterday, today, they are real actors. They want to gain their audience. They want to develop their audience. And for us, it's very important to know what is your opinion for what is the future life of the students who graduate today from artistic faculties. So will you please share with us your opinion regarding this issue? Thank you, Fyodor Dmitrievich. Well, actually, this is very important regarding why do we need so many artists. I can say that for Russian university, this is not a problem, because according to the drama faculty is all the alumni from the drama faculty, from the acting department, they find jobs. But we also have to understand when actors go to the theaters, they have to compete by their diplomas. You know, it's not only talent which counts, but also the status of your diploma. And we are discussing this problem. We understand that there should be more artists of different character. I should say, continuing this topic, that our university has a certain tradition, because, say, 30% of new St. Petersburg theaters, these are students who has graduated from our courses, Zazirkalya, Youth Theater, Booth Theater. These are all courses of those who have graduated from our theaters. And plus, many of the theaters have studios based on our university. And this is a very unique thing. There is no such a thing in Moscow. In Moscow, there is a school studio MHAT, Vakhtangov and Shepkin school, but it's a different principle. We used to have studios at different theaters, which is very flexible, and I should say that for the whole history of existing of this system, we see that it gives its very positive fruits, results. We are going to talk about that tomorrow with our alumni, about the problems related with finding jobs and getting adapted to a real theater life. And now I will give the floor to Marina Mijova, who is director of Siberian High School of Music and Theater Arts. So this is that heroic woman who finished enrollment today, this season, on all drama majors in the city of Kemerovo. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. In order to fulfill the direction of the president in 3 cities, we have constructions today of the cultural centers, and of course for Kuzbas it's very important that Russian State Institute of Performing Arts is going to get its affiliated branches all over Kuzbas. And in Kemerovo we have all those traditions of St. Petersburg collected and combined in Kemerovo with all their possibilities. I just want to say what makes the part of this complex. This is opera and ballet from Mariinsky State Theater. Then Kuzbas Center of Arts with the concert hall. This is affiliated branch of Moscow Choreography School and the School of Tchaikovsky. The cultural part is located in the center of the city, and the educational area, educational campus is located in the area where together with all the educational areas, which is going to fit very well the landscape of the city. Our cultural center in Kuzbas has very high targets to formate new image of Kuzbas. The problem is that talented people want to leave the area, and today this is a real problem for us. So only 200 people, young people, stay in Kuzbas. Others, they flee to the major cities like St. Petersburg and Moscow. So that's why we believe that when we see teachers coming to us and teach us, it's going to raise new generation, and people will stay there. The fact that Kuzbas is included in all the federal projects, exhibitions, concerts, really works as a big plus to our culture. This will be created a unified cultural space and environment. Culture cannot be cannot just belong to a little place, a little village. We connect with each other, we work together, we have connections between Vladivostok in Kemerovo and St. Petersburg. So in December 2022, we will see completed construction of our educational center. This is a presentation of our 16,000 square meters for educational purposes provided by the studios, direction studios, acting studios, acting movies, acoustic and light singing students, speech, vocal. We're going to have our sculpture and painting studio, and we're going to make the scenery for our stages and performances is going to be made by us. Here, this picture shows that we're going to have the open theater. All this expands our possibility. Of course, Siberian climate is pretty tough, but still we've got 3 months a year when we may have open performances on the open stage. This year we started our educational programs on 6 directions. The heart of our educational center is the educational theater, where students are going to stage their first performances in order to put into practice these programs, like the director, the art of the stage, the artists of the costume, also mechanical studio, sculpture studio, where we're going to have a big workshop on sewing costumes and hats. This is a educational theater. We're going to have exclusive theater. These are our students, and we are pretty sure that affiliated branch of this university in St. Petersburg will have a very special, will take a very special, will become a very special focus, which will attract lots of artistic ideas of new trends. Also, this will help to cooperate very productively with other societies, to have light, to have music, to have artistic ideas. All this will be combined in one center, and this will continue wonderful traditions, rich traditions, to show our renovations and to answer all the requirements of the people. So this is going to become a new stage, a new platform for formation of new trends. Our targets, our aim are very ambitious. We enrolled the first course today, 80 students. These are wonderful young people. Teachers came from St. Petersburg, from Moscow. These students passed through very serious competitive exams. The competition was 7 people per 1 place. For acting, we are very satisfied with the way of how we enrolled it. a little bit of adventure, a little bit of doubts. Every time you think, we have to think, if we are right, are we right doing this or that? But we understand that we fulfilled all the tasks that we had. And I just can tell you in what directions we started to work. 6 directions. This is scenography, technology, theater science, producing. And next year we are going to add more programs, but I think that we already have answers, feedback coming to us from the different areas. So it's for us, it's very important that this is not our children who go from us to outward of our area, but people come to us, our students stay with us, and new people come to us. We also have built the campus for 200 students and a multi-storied building for dwelling area for teachers. So whether it is 4 people or 5 years, we provided all the possibilities for that. We have a sport complex on the neighboring area, adjacent area. We have a sports center with a swimming pool. Plus we have modern medical service, medical aid, and medical services, including stomatology. So this is going to be a very modern educational establishment where we continue traditions of St. Petersburg Drama School. Oh, thank you very much. Well, really, we have to underline that the competition was not just weak, was not just normal, and even one person for one place for the art experts. It's really very hard to find people who would like to become experts in art in the region. So, and the fact that you enrolled the whole course of 8 people, this is a big achievement. Leave alone the fact that the competition 7 people per one place is for acting department. This is a very high competition, and I congratulate you and wish you success. So we from our side started already distance meeting to have with our students, and I see a big perspective in this direction. We of course already gained some online experience, and now we can include it, we can put it into practice. Even I want to have a desire to go there and read lectures. This is great. I thank you, and I want to give the floor to a director of the affiliated branch of our institute in Kaliningrad, our western part of our country. This is the most interesting region with which we work very actively regarding technologies and master degree and acting directions. I give the word to Yulia Alenikova. Good night, colleagues. I'm happy to see everybody. Good afternoon, colleagues. And I want to speak about my region, about peculiarities of our region. This is a very special area. We used to have different names, a special geopolitical area, But I should say that Kaliningrad, this is more than 1 million population. This is less of 1% of the square meters of Russian Federation. But this population really lives within the history of the modern history of Russia in that environment that we are kind of the island on the land, which gives a certain tone in development of our mentality. When we speak about our mentality, we can also underline such a peculiarity that in the 20th century, our cultural layer, our cultural nature is a multi-layered pie. The region was built as the part of USSR in 1946. Before that, it used to be the Königsberg region, and in the 90s, as the rest part of the Russian Federation will live in our new Russian history period. So if in 1946 people start to come here, relocating from other areas of Russia, and they started to build the economy of the newly built area, including education, we found ourselves in the corner of the USSR, and there were a strange situation that Kaliningrad was not even included in the 5-year plan of economic development. So as for the culture, Kaliningrad, this is the area of the special attention, because any kind of changes, all the comments that we have in the law bring the business environment and cultural environment in a strong position. We react quickly to all the changes that are going to happen. That's because the way we live. And in difference to other regions, we, for more than 10 years, we have very steady immigration saldo. We've got more people coming to us than leaving us, and the qualitative figure is these are not gastarbeiters. These are people educated, people who come to us. They come not only for food or water, for high living conditions. They come for spiritual life, for development, and it also gives and puts the special task for our region to let's see what we've got here, getting focused on our cultural map. The city before this complex appeared here, traditionally the artistic production is really a very special part of a social economic state of any region, which is really very difficult to measure with some indicators. Usually the social indicators are applied. So if we see in the cut of the educational environment, we see here the major residence of the theater environment. This is a drama theater, which was founded as the Army of the Red Army in 1947. In 1960, it found its building. This is our classical stage, the major stage. We've got 75 people working there in the main company. It has 2 halls, the chamber hall and the major hall, then musical theater, which appeared in 1992. It was built as the private theater. by the initiative of the founders of these theaters, but unfortunately they lost their building and then they moved to the Palace of Culture. And you understand that the Palace of Culture from the Soviet times really does not provide best conditions for the work. 75 people work there, including the orchestra and the choir. And they have in their calendar not only performances but also the musicals. Then we have the musical theater. I'm not talking now about the new federal complex for conferences and concerts in Svetlogorsk, which we used to visit once a year. I speak about the historical musical theater. Presently, two movie halls, they create these stages where we have performances. From 1976 we have Puppet Show, which is located in the oldest church. So it means that belongs to the Russian church, and the building belongs to the Russian church, but the theater still belongs to that building. They count 35 people. This theater really suffered a lot because they had to include in their repertoire many different kind of puppets, like high puppets. And also, there is another type of theater which is getting aged in the east of the area. This is Tilsit Theater, which is located in the boundary with the Lithuanian Republic, which appeared in the 1950s as the youth theater. And then in 1992, they still remain to live in the historical building. The stage was reconstructed, and it is a really famous theater. From people from Kaliningrad go there gladly. As for educational part of Kaliningrad, what regards the cultural part, we've got 300 people. This is the drama environment of Kaliningrad area. As for educational map, in the sphere of training experts in culture and education, additional education is traditional musical schools according to traditional model. This is the average secondary education based on the musical college named after Rachmaninoff. Also, they train sound directors, and the former construction and architecture college. So drama theater, drama occupations, we have not closed them. And then as for the high education, high professional education, we've got them already for more than 10 years. The holders of these programs, this is the university after Kant, and their major is design and media programs. We contact with them training institutes, training students. They work together with Tretikov Gallery, and we pay attention to the fact that we have school children graduated with special education with the Bachelor on Animation, which is also the result of the presence of St. Petersburg Performing Arts Institute in our area. So when looking at this, we see that As for people here and experts, we really face a problem here regarding experts. So our experts, these are people who spontaneously travel from different regions basing on their family reasons and just occasionally travel. Either it is a director or a technologist of the stage. So just occasionally people come, and this is really a problem. So just many people, different people without even education may come to the theater, and they will grow into experts just due to their experience. Even those who came with the education special, it was very difficult for them to get to raise their qualification so the growth of the qualification is quite a problem. We understand that we need to work on our repertoire. This is the problem, existing problem. As for figures, 100 people regarding the stage people, 70% they do not have any education. Of course, in the sphere of direction and the acting, the situation is better. Directors of the theaters, they are educated people, and they graduated from the theater schools of Russia. But for 50%, these are people, they have special education. Show us the pictures, please. What we expect. This is our theater complex. It is located on the island October Island. Our affiliated branch, you can see a little square here. This is a neighbor of Bolshoi Theater and Tretyakov Gallery. Next to it, you see the stadium, Kaliningrad, and there is an eastern platform. This is the high, also affiliated branches from the Academy of the Performing Arts in Moscow and St. Petersburg. Then you hear the transforming hall with the multimedia opportunities. These are our neighbors, Tretyakov Gallery. And this is how this the future project of the Baltic High School of Drama, of Music and Theater Art. The interior part is unique for the region. We didn't have designs like this. This is the dwelling area. So how it looks like. Yeah, we're going to visit you. Yeah, we're going to travel around all the affiliated branches. So by 2028, we expect to have the first alumni and graduations. We are going to cover with this alumni the requirement of the experts, and other directions we're going to develop. What we need to understand about the educational clusters, that at the platform of Performing Arts Institute, we're going to have simultaneously like about 800 people who relate to this environment. These are teachers, these are workers of different labs, these are workers of the students' theater, school children. This is a lot. This is 2 times more than the whole theater environment of Kaliningrad area. This is for one person of this area. We are going to have a multiplied effect of influence. So we expect that within 5 or 7 years we're going to have such a big shift towards further development. Oh, that's great, that because this is the complex attitude towards the creation of the theater environment. This is not just building or working on some very narrow occupation like fire department, for example, because Königsberg used to have a very rich theater culture. So returning of theater culture to this land is a very good start. So it's not by chance that many of our teachers, there was time like Karagotsky Zinovy started to work in Kaliningrad. There should be voices like that that are heard over there. So complex program like this of targeted on formation of the cultural level of the region has very interesting perspectives in order in the case of when we try to fill in the niches which appeared within the history of this area. It's great that you performed such an analytical work on studying this situation, educational and the drama situation, theater situation. It proves that you thought over your work in this direction. And now I would like to give the floor to the alumni of our institute. I remember how our lessons started in the sphere of theater, and like Nina Vasilievna started and how she protected her diploma. Nina Vasilievna Shulgina, she is the acting director of Primoria Higher School of Music and Theatre Arts. Thank you very much, and I'm happy to welcome colleagues. I'm honored today to speak about our region. Of course, Vladivostok is a very far away area, which is really far from the center of Russia. This is 8 hours on the airplane. It's really very far. We are separated from the center with 7 different time zones, but I had good luck to graduate the Theatre Institute on Mankhavaya. That was not my first education, but at that time I had bravery enough in order to apply to this theatre, to this institute, and that was really that decision of mine to study theatre in the RGC. I left everything and dedicated all my time to get the diploma from this institute, and I hope that everything is going to fulfill. Well, of course, it is very meaningful to have a rich culture in our area. And of course, the role of the drama art is evident, and we understand that through theater, the society judges about our life and understands its conflicts. Historical development of theater art always goes together with social and geopolitical factors, which we spoke here already about, and the appearance of art science is closely connected with life in provinces and also Far East area where general laws, general things, of course, were growing, same as in the whole country, were reflected there. When we speak about the meaning and influence of St. Petersburg School, I can offer to you the story about the history of theater development in the end of 1890s, beginning of the 900s. That was a widely spread acting professionalism. A big number of theaters appeared. Private drama schools appeared on the edge of the centuries, and the first fruits appeared at that time in the provinces when the actors didn't come to the company theater from nowhere, but they had their characters already and was educated and knew the theater art of the capital. At the end of the 19th century in Vladivostok, we had mostly amateurs working, and there Vladivostok is the fortification place for military, was a military and navy base, so artistic companies worked mostly for the army and navy. There were strolling theater companies traveling around the area. The economic development at that time attracted people, and actors went there with little companies and even alone, and they strolled there annually and were very important. Of course, they helped to built the skills of actors, and they influenced the taste of the audience. And besides, some of those who traveled, they decided to stay living there, and that helped to create professional environment. So at the beginning of the 20th century already appeared a number of factors which influenced the transition to professional theater, and a big step was to run constant theater seasons. Very soon they opened the theater Golden new theater, Zlatoy Rok, and the opening of this theater made this nearly like the capital. It was made Vladivostok the theater capital, with the first professional theater, with the first professional company, with tightly selected, very carefully selected actors that became the focus of the theater life. Well, from neighboring countries, from China and Japan, artists used to come, and Vladivostok was famous for its oriental spirit. And that was a big step in its development. It happened due to appearance of professional theater, and plus the fact that traveling companies used to come a lot, and all this added to dynamics of the theater process. In other cities and in many cities of Vladivostok in the eastern area appeared theaters. All that affected the appearance of the actor, on the formation of the psychology of actors. One more important feature of the cultural life was steady companies. During the time of the Soviet power, this life started to develop basing on the variety, very colorful life, but still they started to get focused and get centered and attract actors and audience. Even before Soviet system got stronger, such a historical cut in the history of theater culture gives us understanding about different particles, varied particles of the audience. But nevertheless, standards came over this area, and all the educational centers and schools which were opened, they worked according to the same standards. So teachers started to come from theater schools and institutions. All this created the atmosphere of exchange between the actors and teachers. Plus, our theaters could travel, and the traveling theater companies used to come a lot for Vladivostok and the area. And plus, we used to travel abroad with our theaters. All this diffused the environment. But the new time brought its changes. So the remote areas appear to be far away, and the graduates of the theaters and institutions, they found difficulties in finding jobs in the theaters. So Vladivostok is really very far from the centers. So appearance or coming to our area RGC affiliated branch is very important, because now we start working on graduating and raising students directed to all the possible directions in theater life. In Vladivostok and Primorsk area, we've got 7 professional theaters, plus we've got affiliated branch of Mariinsky Theater, which has been working since 2016, and it has performed already certain work on cultivating this environment, and our audience is already familiar with theater school of St. Petersburg regarding opera and ballet. In perspective, we hope that graduates from RGC will make the professional center and professional foundation, and alumni will be really required and welcome, because this area is really very big. It's not only Primorsk, it's Khabarovsk, Yakutia, Sakhalin, Amur, Buryatia. This is a huge area which really needs professionals and experts. A high requirement for professionals we've got not only in Primorsk area, but all 11 subjects of the Far East region, where 47 professional theaters work today, and all of them need experts with a modern education. Far East region, for more than 30 years we face challenge regarding experts. We lack them. 42% of the workers there, they're not artists, and they do not have special high education. 27% of the workers, they have education in other areas, and only just single people, they have theater education. There is a high urgent requirement on getting professional education, because there are colleges, and students of these colleges, they graduate and they leave. Plus, those people who come to work to these colleges, they get the salary when they come to work for us. They work on a paycheck, so it's really difficult to work, and we have a difference in the educational platform. Of course, experts grow, the number of experts grow, but still the level of professional education requires higher standards. The lack of the competition in the theater institutions, of course, leads to decrease of the general cultural level in the area, and very often talented children, they leave the area, they go to the capitals, and they do not get back. And the students who are present here can confirm that none of them is not going to return to their cities back as a rule. So talented people from the far east who will be able to become the students of the branch of RGC, they're going to pass through high competition, which will allow us to select educated people to work in the theaters and in the sphere of culture. Thank you very much. Really, you discover a very serious problem, the problem of the unified and unified system of the school, because really in Vladivostok there used to be the Institute of Arts, for example, and for many years it has been working there, but nevertheless the very colored, very strange situation in the companies really existed. This is typical thing for regional theaters, when really people who sometimes came there with a high education, they work with people who do not have such level of education, and then to find, that's why it's really very difficult to find aesthetical coincidence and consent. It's really very hard, not only over there, but also for directors who come to Vladivostok for temporary work, for example. So that's why the possibility to level the educational standard, not just to make it mediocre, not to put it on the middle level and to make it average, not to average the level, but to make it high. It's same for nearly all the regions which come under the program which we're talking about. This is not limited only with the marked cities, not only with Kaliningrad, Kemerovo, Vladivostok, but for every city like that. Every city like that, they cover big regions. Either these are neighboring cities or just regions where theater culture develops in a with different paces. But the unified approach, which all of us spoke about, is a really a target for all of us. It is not just to liquidate the push in some certain occupation like actors or producers. We need not just to select some occupations. We need to create some theater environment, community, theater and drama community of highly educated people. And then this will give us a variety of forms and new ideas in the sphere of drama art. This is a very important task. And what really touches all of us is the question of combination of the theater school and the theater life, theater practice. Theater school is the long existing issue. Here on the street of Rossi used to be the Impera Theater School, from where all the theater education takes its beginning. So in the beginning of the 20th century, there were very hot discussions which are still going on. And then we discussed over there how education related and connected with the perspective of development of theater art. What these experts are to be prepared for. For what? For existing theaters, for theaters in general, or for specific theaters, for experimental theaters, and how all this is related. What is the proportion of, like, there was an argument between Davidov and Yuriev. They were arguing and talking whether the tradition, whether theater should be based on a tradition, should be founded on tradition, or the theater should go for experiment basing on the tradition, and whether the theater teacher is supposed to run for experiments. What should it be, either a studio education or a classical education from the educational establishment, university? So this kind of arguments we used to have 120 years ago, in the 90s of the last century, here in the neighboring building. So this question is still very important. It remains to be important today when we talk and when we think, we contemplate, we, the teachers, when we contemplate about that, when we work out artistic programs, when we speak about how we can build the educational process. And so I'm very happy to say that now we can we can shift for our teachers of our theater, of our drama school. And I want to give the floor to Ivan Ivanovich Blagodyr, our professor, the head of the faculty of musical, of vocal art, our teacher and musician. Well, you know, I'd better start with the very beginning, when just all this idea appeared to create the affiliated branches. I remember that conference where Natalia Vladimirovna had a floor and there were representatives of the ministry, but there were nobody in the audience who believed in that besides Pakhomova, and people were very skeptical and very hard on why we need that. They all these people, all these regions, they have their traditions. So I remember that conference very well. So now, after I visited two cities, I've been there with artistic trips, Vladivostok and Kaliningrad, and after I've seen what happened, and you saw that in presentation, this is really fantastic changes. This is beyond the limit, what was possible, what we managed to how much labor we invested in that project. And that was a COVID time. There were online broadcastings. We spoke about teachers, about creation, about building, who is supposed to work there, where to look for experts working there, which would be able to work there. And now we see the results. We see real results, fantastic results. It's impossible to believe in that. We haven't used to have for many years in the sphere of art things alike, and hardly within the nearest future things alike are going to happen. So my first trip was with the course to the city Kaliningrad. We had this trip was a 100% traveling performance. It's not that we presented our institute because what was important for us to present the quality, because we really know that we are the face of a old tradition of the St. Petersburg theater. We took there a couple of many performances. We had a master class over there. And then after that we went to Vladivostok. The most exciting and surprising thing. So we sold tickets. They were Anschlag, the full booking office. The interest was the highest. Young people who are interested in theater and in art showed fantastic interest towards our performances. And besides the fact that those students who graduated, they were really very happy with their personal experience, because that's the way we study. We are located in our old building, and our students know that we are in the very old, of course a sacred but still old building. But those new conditions which we saw in Kaliningrad and Vladivostok, they were really shocking. They overwhelmed our students. That was a very great experience. And besides, in Vladivostok, Minister of Culture of Primorsk area visited our performance in Makhavoye. I didn't know, I was not aware of that. And she had an idea to enroll targeted people from Vladivostok, and Minister of Culture took upon itself responsibility to pay for their education for the period of 4 years, and they're supposed to get back to Vladivostok. We went to Vladivostok with a beautiful company. Yuri Vasilyev helped me. He's a professor of our faculty, and over there in Vladivostok we watched those people, we tested them, and we invited them to come to St. Petersburg to study there. And we also have students on our faculty who will go to Vladivostok to work. So we spent 16 days over there. We saw how different they were regarding their love to work. Their hard working capacity was tremendous. Within 20 days of education, first students are going to show their first efforts performing the exercises. This is going to be those things which we didn't show in Vladivostok, and we're going to show here during the master class. I hope that this master class is going to be very interesting for spectators here. I want to warn you that our students of the first year really are very nervous, but let them experience this first worries. We had a ceremony of presenting tickets, student tickets, and Usually it's a dull procedure, but our students really turned it into a bright event. As for Kaliningrad, that was a first acquaintance with the affiliated branch, and we together with Yulia went to their institute, and there we saw their rooms, how highly equipped they are with technical environment, with technical features of education, technical supplies. And I was really very proud for our institute, as we had such an artistic success. The director of the theater where we performed invited all of us to come to Kaliningrad to work there. So our students of our 3-year courses, students, they really got invitations to work there. Many of those who graduated this year, they really found jobs in St. Petersburg, in all the in theaters here. Our students got major roles in many theaters. So this happened that the whole course really got jobs in St. Petersburg. And for me, it was a great news, because this shows the level of possibilities of what we do and what we can share, how we can share our experience with affiliated branches, because the level of jobs our students get shows the high qualification. We already spoke about the fact that all of them want to stay in St. Petersburg. And I keep saying, if you stay without a job in St. Petersburg, you'd better go somewhere to the region and find your occupation over there than working as a clown next to Yeliseyevsky shop, entertaining pedestrians. Our representatives went to Kemerovo. We are really very busy with graduation, work on graduation. So regarding Kemerovo, we are slowing down a little bit our program, because we had our tasks to finish the current programs, but we're going to work with them. Kemerovo is still our target. Thank you very much. And I want to say that during this festival that we're going to see your masterclass on September 23rd. Will you say a couple of words? The masterclass is going to be very different from all the others, because we already showed masterclasses where students show what they have done within the first year of their education, how they were able to perform something. But since now it is only 20 days past since the beginning, we will show our first steps, first exercises. So this is going to be a masterclass of the whole workshop, which already has the third course. This is the third course which we have in our workshop, and it's going to be interesting for experts and for affiliated branches. We are going to prepare the show classes where we educate and advocate for certain things. We're going to discover that, because I don't want to make a masterclass just talking. We want to show. This is not going to be a theoretical masterclass. This is going to be a practical masterclass. So besides theories and theoretical marks, we need to show practical things. What is this exercise focused Neva-Art and why and what it is targeted to. We will show methods of our workshop because our faculty is really very young, and it is headed by Irina Tretyakova, and she very tightly follows the work of the course. So that's why for me personally and for us, the quality is on the comes first. Now I want to give the floor to Natalia. Nobody said. I just wanted to add a couple of words about the School of Creative Industries, because you've mentioned already the School of Creative Industries. This year we are going to have a first graduation. This school works in the following way: 6 studios, photography, theater technologies, design technologies, sound, animation, and interactive digital technologies. You can understand from the names that this is highly technological courses. When our students come and see all this, they really envy. On the first course, children try their hand in all the studios, and on the second course, children, they understand what they are interested in specifically, and so we are pioneers in this direction. It was not us who invented it. That was the task from the Ministry of Culture and our government. And now this idea is being created and developed, and we keep creating these schools in all the areas. About 300 schools is supposed to be created. And also I wanted to finalize as for the mission of our institute. The connection between our institute and regions used to exist. It always existed. The idea of creation of the affiliated branches is to support this connection. The theatrical environment exists. Maybe it is not steady. Maybe it is not yet unified environment. And of course, this is a possibility of education. Same as in the Siberian region. Over there, in all the cultural focuses, only 48% of cultural workers have high education, but we have to understand that regional theaters really very actively get developed. So those who go for rewards from golden masks, we cannot say that the theaters in the capital cities are the best, and the theaters in the regions, they stay behind. We talked about that. Valery Fokin was a pioneer at the creation of the regional theaters. We were here, we were in Yakutia, we watched many performances, but these theaters need help, organizational help. In Grozny at the moment, we've got a festival federation, national theaters with the support of the government and the Union of Theater Workers. We are not talking about different level of the theater. Theaters are supposed to be different. This is our task, to have a different environment, and we see our task as providing help to the regional theaters. Well, thank you very much, and I give the floor to our professor of our academy, a practitioner of our theater, I don't even know how to call his occupation. Theater worker, director, producer, many occupations he combines. So Konstantin Alexandrovich Uchitelь presents a very unique combination of practice, theory, and infrastructural connections. Thank you. I wanted to say something funny, that I cook very well, but I have to stay away from jokes. The theme is really very serious. St. Petersburg Theater Seasons Challenge School and the challenges. I have to admit that I didn't plan to speak about affiliated branches, but of course I can say something. I'm not sure that you're going to like it. And besides, it's not that we have so much time. Still, I'm grateful to Führer that he didn't come and gave me his time. So a couple of words about St. Petersburg Theater School. As the way I understand, we very often use these words without understanding that every word of this word combination, there is some problem. There is some paradox, some question. Well, first of all, St. Petersburg School, in the word St. Petersburg, but why, in principle, we differ from what is going on in Moscow? Are there any substantial, serious differences between Moscow and St. Petersburg? Like, for example, in musical subjects, like, for example, we say that Tina has to go to Italy to study. Tenor has to go to study to Italy. When we have Sapsan going between two capitals, all these boundaries, they really erase. We know that many of our teachers, they go to Moscow to work, and not only Moscow, and Moscow come to us. And this is, on the one hand, this is a very positive process, but on the other hand, some local events, they really get erased due to this differences. But really, were there differences that made us different? Of course there were, and we need to differentiate between them. The second word is theater school and theater. If we start thinking about this word in this combination, we understand that we speak about different occupations and different people who run for different occupations. If we speak about our school, if we have foundations to believe that this is a Moscow school, and as for actors also, it's quite a difficult thing, because, for example, we've got Valery Fokin, who graduated from a different educational establishment, or Dmitriev worked with us. We can name many graduates from Moscow schools who live, or Oleg Basilashvili, for example, who doesn't have any other relations with our institute, or, for example, our graduate, our alumni heads, Konstantin Khabensky is the head of Chekhov Theater today. And we can name a whole number of people who, so these boundaries really get erased, and it's difficult to say, is it good or not? And then the word school, for example. As for the word school, I can say that of course, I completely understand, due to different reasons, have a special attitude to the fact that the higher education in the sphere of education is a good, positive thing. But we cannot but understand that there are many people who work in the theater and they do not have special education, but they are actors and they are directors. So in our country, the attitude is very different, like from Spain or from Germany, where director in the theater might be a person coming from a different occupation, might be geology or engineering occupation. So the word school. We've got a wonderful professor working in our institute, an expert and a teacher, Ivan Ivanovich Blagodyur. Let's be honest. Vanya, tell us, where did you study? You didn't study in this institute. So we can tell that you do not belong to our school, but this is not truth. You are a very important part of our school. Same as Andrei Maguchi, who is the graduate and alumni from the Institute of Culture, who is the form-creating person for our, and from the point of view of education, he has graduated from two universities, but none of them is ours. So all this is really very doubtful. If there are things that differ us, these are paradox and strange things. So the feature of our school is the individuality of the school. So the attitude to this process as not the mass education. We work specifically with every individuality. Speaking about training an artist, we say that we work with the separate person. This attitude, in optimal cases, in the best cases which we see, is very unique. What I see in Mahavaya Street from 1989, it's not that I teach you, we teach and learn together, and this is our attitude, which exists not only in our institute but in many areas. But judging by the books published by our institute, this is the position of Mr. Zone also. It's not that what he wants from the student, but what the teacher learns from the student, creating his free artistic point of view. Do not just look at me, what I do, but learn from yourself. Also, the school of Merkuriev, who it was published, the 2-volume book describing how we work within the framework of this acting school. Same refers to the school. Same refers to the school of Tavstanogin, maybe Katzman. There are names which you have to know if you, whatever you study, you have to know certain names, like Tavstanogov or Katzman. We've got students of Tavstanogov who work with us. There is a number of names. But actually, we can see that these people, they got spread around the world. And we've got a director working with us so whose craft, whose artistic method is very close to Tavstanogov from the point of view of school. Though actually, I mean, Lev Erenburg, he differs very much from Tavstanogov's attitude, but actually he's a student of Tavstanogov. So I think that the main idea of our institute in this respect, I wanted to ask you not to say RGC, this abbreviation. Let's say Russian Institute of Performing Arts. Let us not use this abbreviation RGC. There were times when it was like a nightmare for us to pronounce RGC. Russian Academy of Performing Arts. We just can't call it academy. All these abbreviations is a very doubtful thing. But I want to say that in this institute, it is evident that there is a number of things which are key issues. We already spoke about that. From the one hand side, this is very academic, traditional education, together with that very archaic traditional attitudes. Students are supposed to be nice, but on the other side, it's very renovative organization, like it was here created the first puppet school, first producing education we started to develop here in 1968. At that time, we start thinking about 60s. That was really, they were pioneers who in 1968 started to develop this education of managing the artistic life. But nevertheless, we can keep calling the names and the experience related with the names of the master degree faculty of Oleg Malitvin, for example. There are many new things which do not stop to develop. Here, this year, we have already the head of the course at the producing faculty, and this is the director of the theater, Masterskaya Barsegov, who is going to work with our students, focusing on occupation itself. But is it really a special logical thinking of St. Petersburg education? I think it is related with the fact that our education does not overestimate the education itself. What is the content of this subject? It's not what we do is the most important thing, but who is the teacher and who is the student. So one free personality meets another free personality. Here, in this respect, I want to remember teacher Castellans, who taught Dodin, Spivak, and many other. All of us studied with Castellans, not how to analyze drama, because this is mostly refers to the art science. But first of all, we learned from him to act, because he promoted and awoke and pushed us for action, awakening motives for thinking. So in this case, I want to mention many teachers who used to teach me, for example, who were running artistic sciences, but I want to obtain, because it will take me time, and most of them already passed away. Though actually some of them are still with us, and I'm really very happy about that. All this is the feature of a small educational establishment where everybody know each other, where everybody meets in the buffet, and this horizontal connections is not difficult. But today it's not complicated. But today what we face, the challenge that we face, is that we discuss our cooperation between the faculties. From time to time, we discuss that our faculties forgot how we look alike. The students of the artistic art do not have any chance to see the students of the painting department. They do not know each other. And plus we say that not all people meet in our buffet, because we don't have black box with a transformer, we don't have a runway. Those who were in the campus on here in St. Petersburg, they understand what we talk about. So the everyday routine which we find ourselves due to due to real reasons does not welcome us neither to life nor to artistic activity. And it does stimulate. So there are certain challenges and huge problems. Just some of them is, I want to say that higher education as it is, of course, is in a crisis, because lots of information is available today, and young people have an understanding that it is possible on your own to learn a lot. Of course, you can learn a lot, but not everything. When we speak about our distance experience, let's be frank. This distance experience, we can admit that it was successful just 12%. It really was a lack of success. Everything what we did during COVID, that was very bad or very poor. I speak about producers, speaking about the screen players, playwrights, writers. It's really very poor results, and it was evident because you cannot think that you cannot transmit anything from the distance. When you speak with a concrete person, the human being who teaches arts or foreign literature is also teaches this very person not the same way as he teaches someone different. You know, so you teach different students in a different way. I remember our classes in the Hermitage. I speak different things with different students. And besides that, I cannot but remember when not only teachers affect the student, but other students also affect the students and also the environment. And if we cannot estimate highly our everyday routine environment, then as we speak about spiritual life, I can estimate it highly. Where every time when I go to Neva-Art Street, I really feel elevation. So Neva-Art Street itself forms the student, but also the city which creates this formation. The problem is really because the affiliated branches are located in their cultural environment, which is also very interesting, but it's a different cultural environment. And finally, I cannot but say this feeling of that, the feeling of a new life is related with the fact that students are very different today. We see absolutely perfectly educated children who come to us, and together with that we have children who never had any chance to get to the institute like 25 years ago. So the range of the students is great. This range is provided by the secondary education quality, the quality of the secondary education. So I think that we have to take these problems seriously. If we had more time today, we could speak about following issues: whether it is possible to translate the school, to broadcast the school. From my point of view, no. Is it possible to look for ways of decisions for affiliated branches. To my mind, it is related with job opportunities for our students. And so in this case, I believe that the biggest problem which our colleagues try to decide in the affiliated branches is the problem of who is going to, from our side, going to participate in this cooperation, because there are students, they are ready to learn, but from our side, this is who is going from us to teach those students, and this is quite a difficult thing. There are different ways, so like our teachers can go, can make trips for a short period of time sometime, but there should be someone constantly working there. Then we have to look for teachers who live over there. There are artistic residences, and it is very possible that some course can go to Kemerovo or Kaliningrad for summertime, for summer period, to make something and to show it there. And this practical work that they can have in St. Petersburg, if they can come here for a week, we can show them something. But all this still does not finish the question, doesn't answer the question, who is going to work there teaching? Because the idea that teachers will just grow there like mushrooms or insects, from where the technical aspects of this stage will appear there just because they have wonderfully built buildings. This is just a false thinking. We need to understand that. We need to speak about that, and we need to, maybe we just, it is late that we started. I cannot be quiet. I cannot be quiet. Our perfect and I forgot what is most important is the keyword is the internal internal polemics of the school. So when he started to ask us questions like, what is the school of St. Petersburg? And then he answered this question. I just want to say, you know perfectly well that, of course, job opportunities are very important, and this is very difficult. It is difficult and hard, not only for our institute. When we speak with GITIS teachers, when we ask a question, what is the average age of our teachers? And it depends on you if you are going to come to us, join us or not. For not to have an impression that we built a house in the just in a plain field, and who is going to work there. I want to cover that issue. We've got people who are ready to work over there, and I can name these people. Mr. Naumov. Naumov does not need to be there. He is going to work with the local teachers. In this respect, there is a process which is developing at the moment. This is a serious question, but we are trying to tackle this question. We're working on it. And I also hope that Konstantin Alexandrovich will also be participating in this issue. Thank you very much. So, at the end of our session, we finally came to very itchy questions. We touched upon them during our discussion, and we've got a number of questions to be discussed. But as for me, I want to add, today we're not finishing our discussion. We still have got the whole day for discussions. We're going to have panel discussions where I think that we will have answers, we'll get our audience included, sharing their opinion. And as for today, I just wanted to conclude our conversation on the problematic intonation of problems. I'm not inclined to have everybody keeping to the same idea. Of course, having polemics, having dispute brings the result, and this moves us forward. So on having this high polemic tone, let us conclude and finish this day of our conference. And once again, I want to remind to the participants of our online community that today in 7 o'clock in the evening we're going to broadcast performance of the National Drama Theatre of Russia, Alexandrinsky Theatre, optimistic tragedy, staged and directed by Viktor Ryzhakov. The performance, which had a very broad assessment and among drama community and theater community. And now I want to give the floor to the leader of our festival, Smokotov, Alexey Vladimirovich. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants. I'm very happy and grateful to all the participants for your discussions on topics which are very important for us, because our festival is about St. Petersburg Theatre. I am thankful to the audience who are here, who are online with us. And on behalf of the festival, I would love to present you some letters. And thank you to Shulgina Nina Vasilyevna. Thank you very much for coming by plane from far away eastern region, and you participated in the conversation. Konstantin Alexandrovich, we're grateful to you. Thank you very much. You added your bright word at the final, at the end of the conference. Alexander Anatolievich, to you as the genius speaker and moderator of today. Natalia Vladimirovna, thank you very much. I'm so grateful to you and the Institute this year, because besides master classes, which we're going to see as the part of our program, the Institute reacted on our idea to tell about St. Petersburg Drama School, because we are located in St. Petersburg and we speak about our city. So to put some light on what is being done within the framework of our institute. Thank you, Marina Vyacheslavna, for all that way that you've made to come to us. Thanks a lot. And Ivan Ivanovich, this is not the first year when you take part in our festival. Last year we had the masterclass of Ivan Ivanovich, which we saw right on the stage of the students' theater, and that was a fantastic masterclass, which really broke all the records on online watching. And I'm grateful to everybody who participates. We hope that at 7 o'clock you will join us, and then after the performance, we meet again at 10 o'clock in the evening for participation. And I would like to prepare the questions for tomorrow's discussion.